Nigeria.
It's
If
like
you
a
find
tender
a
now.
Nigerian coin.
During the cash crunch, people were being paid in coins at the banks. So yes, for Naira Richa, I'm so happy about that. It's a good thing when you randomly find money when you're searching randomly. Just
I
find
know. I would rather
cash.
find dollars or something like 1,000 and not coins. Because you have to take it back to CBN for it to even make sense. But yeah, congratulations to you and to every other person who's finding random stuff around their homes. And thank you so much for staying with 95.1 Nigeria Info. Talk, where your passionate, trustworthy conversational radio. And we're keeping with that tradition on Hard Facts from now to 7 p.m., where we start off with some of the big stories driving conversation before people like Tope starts hounding us. Dr. Majid Diary is in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Majid.
Thank you very much.
And enjoying the weather?
Yes, very well. My favorite season is the rainy season, and of course, we're doing Harmattan too.
Me, Harmattan.
Yeah, I like it very chill.
She hates the rain because of the much dirt.
No, I love the rain, but I hate the fields that I get to see in some parts of town.
Okay.
Maybe when I move to a different neighborhood where I will not be seeing
it.
No,
I mean,
anywhere you move to, you will see it.
After all, you live in a very posh neighborhood, so don't let us expose you.
All right, we'll be looking at the stories together, and also we'll be talking about the environment, talk about plastic, and don't forget the thing for World Environment Day is how to find solution to plastic pollution. We'll be talking about that at the 5 o'clock hour. But since our guest is already comfortably seated and we're already streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info, we might as well get started with the roundtable. Starting off with the report of the Nigerian Air. So the Committee on Aviation is saying is a fraud. MD is saying we just borrowed it to just do that photo op. Dr. Majid, I'm seeing a shy, it's not a smile, it's a smirk that you have on your face at the moment right now, because you're like, I told you so. The look is, I told you so.
I'm sorry if I'm rubbing it in, but I can't help it.
And then when I said yesterday, I said to myself that wherever Dr. Majid is, they'll be like, I told you guys so, that there's just something very nasty about the entire setup. It felt like the former Minister of Aviation hurriedly wanted to just, for some reason that I cannot understand at the moment, why he wanted this to go. It's such a facade that it will be easily unraveled.
Exactly.
So why go through all the trouble if there is not much to it?
It tells you the capacity, the mental capacity, the physical capacity, or a lack of it rather, of those that have been piloting our affairs in the last 8 years. And even way before 8 years ago anyway. Otherwise, even when you want to do something as crafty as the Nigeria Air Phantom, you could have done it in a way that will not be so easy to unravel. Once that airplane arrived in Abuja, people said that within a few hours, people looked at the registration number and said, this is Ethiopia registration number. People tracked the plane. The last flight, it actually on the
from the serial,
exactly,
the number,
and then immediately a day after they said this plane has left Nigeria. In fact, the Air Nigeria paint has been removed from it. It's already flying on behalf of Ethiopia Airline. They are, on their routine, what do you call it, passenger flight?
Yeah, commercial flight. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's sad. It was this phantom. It was a scandal. It was complete nonsense from the beginning. If you want to run a national airline, I am one of those, of course, who believe strongly so too that government can and indeed should undertake certain level of participation in the means of production, including owning airlines or whatever it is you can do that is productive, that will create jobs and bring you revenue. I have no problem with it at all. But this was not one of such. It was only masqueraded as such. Somebody came up with the idea of Nigeria Air that was going to be owned substantially by Air Ethiopia or Ethiopia Airlines. Ethiopia Airlines belongs to the Ethiopian government and state, 100%. So what that means is that what you call Air Nigeria or Nigeria Air, I don't know, is actually Air Ethiopia disguised as Air Nigeria.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, to do what? To come and now take advantage of our huge domestic market. And because they have stronger capacity. I mean, Air Ethiopia or Ethiopia Airlines have been flying in the sky since 1946. And they're one of the best rated airlines in the world. In fact, what crude oil is to Nigeria is what Ethiopia Airlines is to Ethiopia. That is their major source of foreign exchange. As every year they declare profits in billions of dollars. How are we going to compete to such an entity with our local airline not having any form of support from government?
Yeah.
So what that meant was Air Nigeria will simply take over the domestic market and international market substantially and displace Nigerian enterprises. Now, the advantage of that would have been to the Ethiopian state because it only adds to the billions of dollars that Air Ethiopia or Ethiopia Air, as the case may be, declares for the Ethiopian state every year. So meaning they would have come here to take advantage of our market and repatriate their profit back home. But under a shell or under a cover called Nigeria Air. So what sense was that going to make? Nigeria was going to have only 5%.
5%. They had 49%.
49%. That's the
Then
controlling
Sako
shares.
and Charles.
All of those people were cobbled together by Hadi Sidika. For what purpose, I do not know. So for people who know how these things work, this idea of PPP between government and private sector is that most of those companies you see that are Nigerian companies usually serve as fronts for people in government, including Hadi Sidika himself. That is the desperation you now see him try to push it through to convince the people that it has taken off, so that while he tidies up any loose ends to allow Ethiopia Airlines to come in effectively through Nigeria Air into the Nigerian domestic aviation market.
But what would having a successful airline, national airline, do for the aviation sector? Because it seemed as though that was something he was trying to achieve, trying to push that. We are working on this right now, and it will come to
He wasn't trying
fruition.
to achieve that. If he was trying to achieve that one, he would be the best he could have been as minister. Because one of the conditions you must fulfill before government can do business is for those in charge of government to be above board like Caesar's wife. You see, government is like God. After God in heaven, the God we know on earth is government. In fact, it isn't government that helps you to enforce God's laws in this world. So a government is supposed to be omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. That is a near perfect entity. And those that should run government must be people of near perfect character. Particularly in terms of integrity. Hadi does not fulfill any of these conditions in the first place, just like any other Nigerian politician. And so, that which he seeks to do turned out to be the opposite of what he was doing in reality. There's nothing wrong with having a national airline. If Nigeria Airways was actually envisioned to be like that, if Nigeria Airways had been managed properly, as was supposed to be, today we'll be competing with Emirates Airlines, with Ethiopia Airlines, and others. In addition to having just airplanes, Nigeria Airways then had a lot of training institutions, had maintenance facilities, and because of their large infrastructure in aviation industry, Nigeria was like a hub for aviation enterprise in West Africa then, because most airlines come to Nigeria Airways facilities to do maintenance, regular maintenance, the sort of things we do overseas today. But unfortunately, mismanagement ran underground. And instead of correcting the mismanagement that ran underground, we decided to throw away the bathwater with the baby. And so we privatized it. And in privatizing it, we privatized it wrongly. First, it was to Richard Branson. He bought it for $2 or was it $1? For $1. He took over it. But because of the bottleneck and the corruption in the system, even as a private investor, he was frustrated out of the business. And though he handed over to Jimo Ibrahim for $2. And Jimo Ibrahim ended the career, the future, and the prospect of Nigeria with effectively.
That's why people were calling out Jimo Ibrahim was on a TV program.
He saw the asset of it. What he simply did was corporate undertakings. Like he was a corporate undertaker. Because of the assets of Nigeria, what was his target?
He stripped it.
He stripped it and sold it to UBA for millions of dollars and sat down. And so he made money from it. Because when government insisted that they couldn't manage it, rather than simply changing their own management technique, which was faulty, changed it. They sold it to somebody that was even worse in the private sector, and then he buried it effectively. So if you wanted to resuscitate that kind of airline we had before, by way of Nigeria Airways, it was for the government to come out clean and clear, with clarity of purpose, outline the investment that is required to acquire a number of planes and begin to rebuild the facilities. Then make it public, make everything transparent. And make sure that the Nigerian government, even if it was going to partner with another person, owns controlling stake. You know why? So when the revenue start coming in billions of dollars successfully, it goes to the state coffers. It goes into our federation accounts. So it adds to our national income, which you can now use to service our needs, security and welfare needs of citizens.
All right. Dr. Majid, I'm a little curious because what they're saying is that the procedure for the establishment of the national carrier was not completed for the unveiling. So it means that we're still in the phase of it. Now that he's gone, I mean, is this something that we should ensure that we see to the end of it?
It should be terminated, not just terminated.
Terminated?
Yes.
We spent money or even logo.
And that is why you need
and
to,
all
that's
of
why
that.
you need to call Hadi Sidika for questioning. And if he cannot explain how and why he spent those monies, he should prosecute it accordingly.
You terminating it instead of going through it?
No. It's of no benefit to you and I. It's of benefit to Ethiopia Airlines.
No, but what if we went about it the right way in terms of getting the...
will be for you to restructure it now, change the shareholding structure to make Nigeria, first and foremost, 51% shareholder. Okay. And then bring in very serious partners into the game. For the fact that Ethiopia Airlines was able to connive, as it were, with Hadi Sidika to bring one of their planes that was just plated Nigeria Air and flew it back, is a red flag for me. So that, for me, makes them not even worthy of the partnership. So whatever Hadi Sidika has cobbled together, let us dismantle it and bring Hadi and call him to account for the millions of dollars he wasted, if not billions, of taxpayers' money that he wasted in this misadventure. And if he cannot explain it adequately, he should be prosecuted in line with laws of corruption in this country, because this is grand corruption. He shouldn't go scot-free. He should be prosecuted and jailed if found guilty, according to our laws. There should be consequences for bad behavior. The entire Nigeria Air project was a terrible behavior. It was a misadventure that should not have happened in the first place. At all. So
maybe it should have happened, but not the way he went about it.
What I'm saying is, if you want to float an airline, look at Aquabom Air. I make reference to Ibom Air all the time on this station. The government of Aquabom wanted to float an airline because they had an airport. So they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make Aquabom a hub for aviation, enterprise and industry in this sub-region. So we need to add a maintenance hangar to the Obong Victor Atta Airport in Uyo. And they've done, I'm told that they've commissioned that before the last governor even exited office. And they acquired jets, airplanes to run a wholly owned Akwa Ibom State airline, Ibom Air. We didn't see them launch logo. There was no long story. All we saw was airplanes, suddenly. And we saw schedules, we saw offices, we saw websites, started flying. And we've seen them grow their fleet from 2 to 4, and I'm told they made order for some number of airplanes to come and boost their fleet. And up until yesterday, a senior journalist who flew out Ibom Air was still praising Ibom Air for their professionalism, for their innovation, and for their high standards. That is the kind of thing I will support. When I knew there was something wrong with the entire Nigeria Air enterprise was when they made so much about launching the logo, and I'm like, how do you launch the logo of...
What, 2017? 2018.
What is the meaning of launching logo? Nobody launched Akwa Ibom Air logo. We simply saw planes arriving. We saw them taking off. We saw them flying. We saw inaugural flights. We saw them growing. People are flying Ibom Air. It's all over. You go to the airport. Is perhaps one of the choicest airlines to fly in Nigeria because of their punctuality and their professionalism and standards. That is how to run a state-owned enterprise. And I wish Akwa Ibom Airline well. Other states can copy. Federal government can go and copy from Akwa Ibom how they set up their own and run, not the Hadi Sidika model.
Now, Dr. Majid, a few weeks before the end of the administration, we saw a renaming of the Ministry of Aviation to Aviation and Aerospace. Now, a group of think tanks in the aviation industry asking for a return of the Ministry of Aviation to the Ministry of Transportation because it's a transportation means.
Of course.
What would that do any good in terms of improving on the ministry?
I think sometimes we try to create unnecessary offices. We try to create duplication of responsibilities when truly aviation can function under transportation effectively. So all you need to do is have a director general in charge of aviation and other related agencies. That's also one of the things we can do. But well, if they decide to have an aviation ministry as distinct from transportation ministry, it's also fine. But to now begin to rename Ministry of Aviation to Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace, it tells you the unimaginativeness among people that actually preside over affairs. Of what relevance is the name? What is important is what our aviation sector is. You may not even have a ministry for aviation. You don't have it. As long as our airports are functioning, call it what you want to call it. There's nothing in the name. It is in the doing. It is in the doing. So I don't think we should even have too much display energy on the naming. As long as the aviation sector is functioning, they can also call it Ministry of anything they want to call it, but let it function. So it is not in the name. The name cannot change the reality on ground. It is what's on ground that will give perception to what you do up there. So we dissipate energy so much on theatrics and cosmetic approach to governance without looking at the real issue. You succeeded in practically scamming an entire country with a phantom air Nigeria air project, and all you can do is to now rename Minister of Aviation a few days to your leaving office to something else. And for me, that was even wrong because there's an incoming administration. Such decisions should be allowed for the incoming administrations to take because they have their own master plan, they have their own blueprint for aviation and other sectors.
All right, then. Let's go on a very quick break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I do it every morning on Morning Crossfire from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Nigeria Info 95.1, and I'm Femi D. Amede. Join the biggest conversation around the national politics every day in a way that is trustworthy, full of passion, and yes, covers the biggest politics and the stories that matter to you. See, you have all the reasons to find out what's going on in Nigeria and be engaged differently. Let's talk. That's the way to go, even this morning.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Of the Air Nigeria that was so hyped from 2018 with the launch of the logo and all the promises it holds falling flat on its face as we use a chartered flight from Ethiopia to do the launch. It means no airline, no structure. As a matter of fact, the 5 phases we're meant to go through, we're still in the phase 1 of it. And Hadis Rika must have been in such a rush to get that his dream project underway. But apparently, doesn't look like it's going to go through, and he's got a lot of questions to answer. A lot of questions to answer. Let's look at some of the messages we have on Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp, and then we get to the next story.
All right, looking at what's happening on YouTube right now. Good afternoon to you, Timothy Ezekiel. And he says a lot to talk about today. Hope professors in the studio, and we'll touch on the leaked video. Boss Sunday says, I would never miss listening to Dr. Majid. Oludade Abiodun, good afternoon. I have a request to make from Mr. President, and my request is for him to single out the aviation minister for persecution. And Umbo Sunday says, listening from Lagos, Mayaki Monday. Okay. Asiru Abbas, this is very important. The Russian... Okay. Isaac on Yenakasa says, good afternoon. You look like a prof than a doctor today. Happy to see you. Love your outfit. Good afternoon to you, Itodo and Kim. Please reduce the AC for Kim. Really? Mazi Sunday Okewu. Good afternoon. I want Dr. Majid to throw more light on the crude swap regime under Buhari because of the alleged subsidy payment on PMS. And Aliyu Garkida says, is it rocket science to have Air Nigeria? Asu Peter, please tell me that the aviation corruption of Hadis Sirika will not be swept under the carpet. And Isaac, okay, I read your message earlier. That's it from our YouTube platform. Hello to you, Odo Jude, Chible, Jacob Ugbede, Nasiru Abdul Jalil, and Odo Jude Chibul on Facebook. Okay.
How about you? What's up?
All right,
Okay,
going on
let's
to WhatsApp right now. And he says, please, how true is it that the former Minister of Education said he knows nothing about education? He was just called to be minister. Manzo asking that. And Abraham says, shouldn't the Minister of Aviation be locked up? This is taking the whole nation for granted, and it is outright fraud. Chima from Jaji says, please tell Dr. Majid. Okay. All right. And Banky from Mutako says, I guess it's more of insincerity and corruption rather than mental capacity of our leaders that brought about the Air Nigerian shenanigan. The former minister was hell-bent on impressing his principal to any extent. And Enoch from Gadoa says, okay. It seems to me that on the aviation situation, I feel the president should consider the Akwa Ibom State governor, the previous one, for the aviation ministry so that he can come and do his magic on aviation and bring about the development of aviation on the national level like he did in Akwa Ibom State with the Ibom Air. Also having aircrafts, hangars, offices, and other state-of-the-art infrastructures that can serve the nation and the African sub-region, create job opportunities, especially in commerce and trade, agriculture and tourism, and bring in the much-needed revenues. Former Rivers and Delta State governors, Nyesom Wike and Defying Okowa, will do well as works and housing and health ministers, respectively. Peter in Abuja. Right. And the Patriot says this fraud took place under Mr. Integrity from NNPC, CBN, and the Accountant General to the aviation and still counting. But I blame the ignorance and incompetence of the society not daring to stand up to these people. Now that there is a new government, the books, no subsidy removal, and the tagging along should not continue. That's from the Patriot. I think this is good for now. Okay.
All right, let's get to El-Rufai's update. I mean, Nigerians can't stop talking about it. From the SDP Adebayo tackling El-Rufai over alleged inflammatory comments to don't set Nigeria on fire. APC chieftain tells El-Rufai to even the Christian Association of Nigerians saying El-Rufai is seeking relevance, that Nigerians should ignore him. But is it something to ignore when you start to make a statement? Let's look at it from here, where former SDP presidential candidate in the just concluded general election, Prince Adewale Adebayo, yesterday condemned what he called divisive tendencies of the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Malam El-Rufai, over his alleged statement that Islam will continue to dominate politics in Kaduna and Nigeria. El-Rufai allegedly told his audience before handing over to his successor that Islamic dominance in Kaduna has been successfully replicated in Nigeria and that it shall continue. In the video containing the speech, which has since gone viral on social media, alleged further that the victory of Bola Tinubu had silenced the Christian Association of Nigeria, adding that action will sustain the Islamic-dominated government for 20 years and unending, not only in Kaduna State but in Nigeria at large. The video, as expected, has generated reaction everywhere, especially from Christians who have all condemned the statement. And we got a chieftain of the APC and former national director of Christian Association of Nigeria, Samuel Kwango, has cautioned the former governor not to set Nigeria on fire with his utterances and expressed his disappointment at El-Rufai, noting that the classification of the citizens of his state as them versus us meant that the former governor cannot be exonerated from the wanton killing, demolition of houses and places of worship of Christians in Kaduna State. And he put this out on his Twitter message. There's been a lot of, it's been trending since it came out and the video went viral, to saying, is it a careless misspeak? I know he had his target audience, but he should know the time and age we live in, that these things filter and then get out to a larger audience beyond the target audience that you're speaking with. And knowing how sensitive the issue of religion is in Nigeria, and even more sensitive how it's been in Kaduna State, where a section feel marginalized within the state, not getting in a lot of infrastructural development, and also have just are still going through the eyes of the storm in terms of insecurity, ethnic cleansing, and land encroachment that is going on in the state, no matter how you define it. you would think he would be circumspect how he speaks about some of these things, don't you think? Or is it just being notorious El-Rufai as usual and not giving
I think
a
it's
damn?
a combination of all of the issues we've raised. As somebody who has occupied the office of governor of Kaduna State, as somebody who has been the minister of the Federal Republic, as somebody who has occupied other important positions of state, either in private or in public, El-Rufai should not be caught dead or alive making such an insidious statement, divisive, poisonous, with potentials to actually create a major crisis in this country. And I think somebody needs to call El-Rufai to order. I actually think that that statement was deliberately made and it was not a leak. No, I don't think so. My thinking is that I am sure he is somewhere brooding about the new government. And he's trying to set this government up against the Nigerian people for failure by insinuating that this is an Islamist government.
Because that's the impression.
That is the
Like,
impression,
what
that
are
as
you
if it
trying
was
to
a
say,
deliberate-
Mr.
You know,
Former
he
Governor?
talked about the fact that Professor Ishaq Akintola, one of the most notorious
Murik.
troublemakers, I call him moronic Murik, troublemakers, who to me is even almost more dangerous than those that are in the theater of war as Boko Haram insurgents, because the kind of statements he
Okay,
made.
are we not exaggerating here,
No,
Dr. Majid?
no. The ideology of Boko Haram is what Professor Akintola brings to the mainstream unchecked. And I've raised this issue severally. I'll give you an example. Do you know that Professor Akintola once made a statement that Nigeria is a Christo Western nation that Muslims are struggling to dismantle? But because he's not in the theater of war as Abu Shekau or any of the Abus, we take these things for granted. And so instead that this same fellow, who is known to have described Khan as a dog in the manger, there's nothing that man has not used to infuriate Christians, to get them to react. There's nothing he has not done. And the media gives him the space to do that.
Well, they also
And so-
they give space to Khan, so we might as well
No,
give
Khan has
him
never
his
insulted
own-
the Muslim community as far as I remember
not
in this
at all.
country.
Yeah.
Khan has never insulted anybody. Khan simply states their own position on issues. Give us our rights. Our members are being killed. These are the things they raise. Whenever Khan raises issues of concern to them, go and look at Professor Ishaq Akintola's reaction. And the media may not understand the implication of what they are doing. It's not so different from what the El-Rufai has said. And El-Rufai said in that video that this same man came to him that they wanted the Muslim from the southwest to be president. And they said, okay, they will give him a running mate from the north and all of that and all of that. And so I think he has a grudge against this government, and he wants to set the ball rolling for the destabilization of this government from external forces. That is my take. And so the government itself must be very wary of somebody they call their ally, because this is a very dangerous thing to do. Now, the president of Nigeria today, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, was not voted for by Muslims alone. If Khan had issued any statement that all Christians must vote for Peter Obi, for example, that statement was never made in any case. But don't forget that the president's wife and children are Christians, meaning that there is a probability that his children and wife would not have voted for him because their father was a Muslim, and they would have voted for Mr. Peter Obi, for example, if Peter Obi indeed was the Christian candidate in this election. Muslims voted for Peter Obi, just as Christians voted for for Mr. Asiwaju. In fact, the DG campaign for Asiwaju was a Christian. If you look at Atiku Abubakar, for example, his running mate was a Christian. Governor Wike of Rivers, who severally describes Rivers as a Christian state, wrongly so too, and have condemned.
And I hear that the recent governor is also
I
doing the same
posted
path.
something on my Facebook about that, because since I wasn't on the program when that matter came up,
Yeah.
I reminded him that Rivers is not a Christian state. Rivers is a state for all Nigerian residents, whether they're Muslims or Christians, equally. Rivers is not a Christian state. In the same way that Sokoto is not a Muslim state. All states in Nigeria are equal, and all citizens that are residents in those states are equal before the law. But it's important to digress, so that's to show that even a Christian, so-called Christian governor of a Christian state like Wike supported Asiwaju in this last election, who is a Muslim. People voted largely in line with their political interests and economic interests. Now, On the issue of Christians, yes, there were some, would I say, a revolt within the Nigerian Christian community about the fact that first the PDP refused to zone to the south and then picked a northern Muslim to succeed a northern Muslim. And then when the APC decided to go around that arrangement to have an upper hand, they picked a Muslim from the south and a Muslim from the north. You don't expect a group of people not to react to say, well, we've been excluded. Because Nigeria has been run on religious and ethnic balancing for the purpose of inclusivity, which is a phenomenon all over the world. There's nowhere we don't do that. It's not a coincidence that a Hindu Indian today is the Prime Minister of Britain. No. It was deliberate towards inclusion. It's not a happenstance.
Yeah.
So in Nigeria, we've been trying to manage some of this so that nobody feels left out. So at least we can have some level of peace and unity, so that we can have some level of national agenda that all of us can subscribe to. And to command national reality, it is even a constitutional matter. It is in the constitution that no organ of government should be dominated by one ethnic or religious group. That was the basis of balancing that you saw the political class evolved. So it was a natural reaction for Christians to say, why are we being excluded? To some of them to now vote for maybe somebody they feel is one of their own as a sign of protest, which is a legitimate protest under the circumstance. It's like 14 African Americans for voting for Obama and describe it as racism when there is a historical injustice against the black community in America. That was what happened in 2023. And even the ruling party realized that it was something that they need to manage going forward. And you see them pushing strongly for a Christian as Senate president. There's that realization. But for someone to come up now and make it look like it was deliberately done to impose Islamism on Nigeria, you are not giving vibes to those Christians who rejected Muslim ticket. It's okay, it was Islamization. That's what El-Rufai is trying to claim is the case.
One would really, El-Rufai should have known better than to make statements.
No, I'm saying El-Rufai must have a grouse against Bola Tinubu. Yes.
But how do you have a grouse for a government that you campaigned for?
You don't know politicians. If he wishes Bola Tinubu well, he won't say that he has said. Yes. So Bola Tinubu himself must sit down as president today to take a second look at El-Rufai, his friend. Remember in that same video, he said he had problems with this president up until that period. So I'm sure something must have happened between the two of them. There is a grouse he's nursing somewhere. This is his own way to destabilize his government. But let us beg El-Rufai. And I want to see more Muslims come out to condemn this statement. Not just, I've seen that the people that have been condemning it are Christians. No, it's not right.
I've seen some Muslims condemn it.
We want to hear stronger Muslim voices. We want to hear people come out to say, this is not an agenda. This is not representative
because
of our
that can
view.
cloud the entire period of this administration.
This government.
Whatever the government
Everything
does
they
will
do
be
now,
seen
any
from that
appointment,
prism.
any decision will be read through the gospel of El-Rufai. It is a very dangerous thing he has done. You see, these people should not lead us down the road to Sudan. All these people that are claiming love for Muslims and Christians are hypocrites and people that are not sincere. How has the Muslims in Kaduna fared under his rule? The killings in Kaduna, yes, he has given the impression now that probably has taken side in the killings because if you go to Southern Kaduna, the pattern is a certain kind of pattern where you have a particular militia that is of a particular religious extraction seen to be the aggressors. But in the northern part of Kaduna too, where you have banditry,
the burning
it is the same people versus the same people. Or rather the same people against the same people. So how has he been able to protect the Muslims of northern Kaduna from Muslim bandits as a Muslim governor? This was the same man that made the statement in 2016 that he sent money to his kinsmen across the border who are coming to kill Southern Kaduna, telling them that he's one of them that to stop killing. And I said, as Chief Security Officer of your state, you are no longer a fool anymore once you're elected as a governor. You are no longer a Muslim. You are now Kaduna. Kaduna means you are Muslim, you are Christian, you are Atiap, you are Kataf, you are Hausa, you are Igbo, you are Yoruba, you are everything that Kaduna represents. And you cannot be dealing with a terrorist that is killing one person in your state on the basis of ethnicity. You must fight that person. You see, we must understand how nations are built and how nations are destroyed in this country. I'll keep making reference to Great Britain during the First World War. The British monarchy is of German ancestry. This situation happened then. But Germany declared war on Britain and raided Britain. And so the monarchy had an option now to choose between their ethnicity and take side with their cousins in Germany, or to choose their nationality, their citizenship, which is British. They ditched their ethnicity and embraced Britain. They dropped their Germanic nickname and adopted an English name to now be properly British, and then declared war in turn against Germany. That is how leaders build nations. If they're taking side with their cousins in Germany, the British monarchy would have been dismantled today, and Britain would not have been the same again. Because that would have been the betrayal of the people by their own leaders. That's what El-Rufai has just done. What he has just said is not just scandalous, it's an abomination. Ordinarily, the El-Rufai can be arrested and prosecuted for hate speech. Yes. What El-Rufai just told us is not different from what Boko Haram is trying to do with the force of arms. You know, when I talk about Boko Haram here, people don't understand. It is statements like this that led to Boko Haram. So people are feeling that politics is too slow achieving Islamist domination in Nigeria. So let us use force of arms. So you cannot be fighting Boko Haram and wasting our lives and resources in the theater of war when people like El-Rufai are roaming the streets and promoting the same agenda. It is a serious issue.
Well, he is one man. He doesn't have immunity. If the government of the day finds it offensive.
The government is supposed to condemn this statement. In fact, the government has this thing against the government too, because he just can't stand it anyway. Even though, yes, what he said is also reflective of some of the ideas they and their allies in the religious class have imparted on our people over time. But I know that this man has a grudge against Tinubu. So Tinubu has a duty as president to call this man to order and issue a rebuttal to say, look, this election was not part of any Islamist agenda. I was one of those who didn't quite frown at the Muslim ticket because I saw it as a consequence of what PDP did. You know, that was my firm position. And knowing Tinubu as a person, I was in Lagos when he was governor, and I followed his trajectory. Tinubu is a typical Yoruba man. I'm sorry to use that word, even though I don't like going too much into ethnic coloration. Who is a Yoruba man? You see, all of us must learn from the Yorubas of Southwest a lesson or two in religious harmony. So a typical Yoruba man is an Omoluabi, who is as Muslim as he's Christian, and is even a traditionalist without discrimination. So in the family, father can be this, mother can be that, children can try to go on their own. That's why you have zero incidents of religious war in the Southwest. Most of the people in the Southwest have wives that are Christians or Muslims, while they are Christians or Muslims. And there is no problem. Tinubu is a typical example. Tinubu's wife, his beloved wife,
is a pastor.
Is a pastor.
As a matter of fact. Yeah.
Tinubu's son, Sheyi, is a Christian. Yes. Tinubu is a Muslim. Tinubu attends church services. In fact, Tinubu instituted, Thanksgiving service every beginning of the year in Lagos Government House when he was governor. Yes. Adeboye usually come, Pastor Adeboye of the Redeemed Church, usually come to preside over such services. I remember in 2014 or 13, President Muhammadu Buhari, then as General Muhammadu Buhari, attended one of such sessions in Lagos when Fashola was governor. Yes. What am I saying in essence? On this call, Tinubu that I know cannot part of any Islamist agenda because he's not in his orientation and where he comes from. But that is because I know him. He has to come out to denounce this, either directly or subtly, and they have to call this man to order. I know that it is a very stubborn man. He cannot apologize. I know he will double down. He will say worse things if you challenge him. But the state must rein such people in their own interest. This government is already embroiled in a lot of controversies, if you know what I mean. They cannot add this one to it. Especially when there was suspicion already that could this be an agenda. And let me emphasize.
I mean, at the campaign period, there was someone talk about that agenda.
Peter Obi was not a Christian candidate. Peter Obi himself may not have realized this. Peter Obi may have been heard on phone soliciting Christian votes. But Peter Obi was not aware of what was propelling his candidacy. It was simply anti-establishment feelings across the country, across ethnic groups, across religious groups. That was what fueled Peter Obi's aspiration. That was what propelled him to national prominence. It was not Christian agenda. It was not Muslim agenda. It wasn't even Igbo agenda. That's why he won in urban areas. Look at the pattern of his winning. Urban areas where you have struggling Nigerians that simply feel excluded by the establishment as represented by the PDP and the APC. And so they felt this man, who appears to be better as far as they are concerned, should be supported. So they came out free of charge, sweat, blood, toil to make their votes count for him, and he won across 12 states at least. So that was what prepared his candidacy. In fact, to me, some of these Christian leaders that later endorsed him played catch up with the people. Because if you observe, when one goes into a church, the crowd will start cheering. So most of the people saw that our members have already embraced this man, so they played catch up. That was what drove and propelled him to national prominence. It was an anti-establishment feeling in the country, and it was rightly so. And some people also felt that there was need for justice. that the Southeast have not been president before. And if you have somebody that appears to be popular, why not support? So we saw a lot of cross-country support for him from across the country. Yes. So that should not be misconstrued as a Christian candidate, and that is the best Christians can do, and we have defeated them. No, Khan did not endorse Peter Obi. No. Khan did not endorse Peter Obi at all.
No.
At all.
No time.
Individual pastors did, and not all. Father Mbaka did not endorse Peter Obi, for example. No, he did not. Pastor Poju Oyemade did not. Pastor Paul Adefarasin did not. Pastor Enenche did. Yes, it was based on choice. There were a lot of Muslim groups too, and that supported him as well.
Yeah.
Aisha Yusuf is not a Christian. That's what I remembered. That Baba is not a Christian. So let nobody reduce what happened in the last election to these narratives. Like I said, he's trying to get at something. So Tinubu should call him to a meeting. I'm sure there's something he has done to him that is making him angry, and he wants to create a narrative that will derail his government and derail this country.
Let's hear one more to lose the president's meeting with the governors. We'll get to that in a bit, but let's get your input by telephone. We'll take 2 messages and get to the phone lines.
All right, 0700 951 0000, 08095974869. Those are the numbers to call. You can also call or send a message to 08099930137. Welcome to you.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr.
Good afternoon.
Hello? I'm the first call.
What's your name?
Hello? Oh, my name is Mr. Aminu, first caller.
Welcome to you.
Okay. Mr. Majid, you are welcome to the studio. So I'm always listening to your program, so I'm always taking interest. Anytime you are in studio, even though there's no light, I'll make sure that I'll find alternative to hear your program. Please, the Nigeria issue, you have to take paracetamol, because all those are politicians, they are only looking for their interest. What El-Rufai is saying is that a good Muslim must against him. That is my own belief. A good Muslim must against his statement. If not so, the guy is just trying to play a Maradona game. So may God help Nigeria.
Amen.
Right.
Thank you, Aminu.
Welcome to you.
Hello. Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Ahmed from Gugwara.
Welcome, Ahmed.
In as much as we should blame El-Rufai for that statement, what of Canada said the other time that Buhari wanted to Islamize Nigeria? Did we blame that? Let me tell Mr. Menju that Khan was totally in support of Obi. We know what happened in Nigeria. So, what of Canada said Buhari wanted to Islamize the country that time? Did they do anything to them? Let us be sincere and let us,
All right, thank you, Ahmed.
Welcome to you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes. My name is Musa. I'm calling from Abuja.
Welcome to you, Musa. Go ahead.
Yes.
Welcome. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to you.
My name is Yaya. I'm calling from Buhari.
Go ahead.
So, the soul of Aladua, very simple. I gave me Aladua is Satan. El-Rufai will be in prison. Otherwise, wrong. But it's still not better than giving the privilege to even be contesting the government. Because what that guy is doing, totally is condemnable. What the El-Rufai is doing, during the time of even though when he was director of privatization and this and that and co. So what that guy is saying, totally, if it is reasonable as the first caller that called first time, El-Rufai is good Muslims supposed to condemn this thing that he's talking about. Totally, we are totally against it. El-Rufai is supposed to be calling order. And his reading is political. I know that what is hearing that he after the 2027, if God keep us alive, is building up to want to contest the president of this country, and God will not allow it to be. That's my little contribution.
Thank you, Yaya.
Welcome to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Majid.
Good afternoon, sir.
This is Imoni
from Western.
Go ahead.
I thank you so much. After the election, I was telling my friends that this El-Rufai, they never wanted this man to win that election. But they may not understand. Because as APC governor in Kaduna State, Atiku won in Kaduna State. So, but President Ahmed Tinubu took them by surprise. And he grabbed the power by force, and he is now a president. Just like you said, I thank God for you because you are a true Nigerian and you meant for this nation. And I pray you continue. God will bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And we'll go on a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Back and back of the biggest story.
This is Nigeria Info.